So this I actually grabbed a bunch of pictures off of my old computer, was able to download them onto this newer computer that I'm using, and I pulled this up and realized I didn't change the name of it at all. So when you screenshot, sometimes when you do a screenshot of a picture, you get a timestamp, and so that's what you got here. And so this is before I made any YouTube videos at all. So it's got a little bit of a nostalgia there for me. But this was a screenshot. It was very low resolution. I couldn't see his left nostril. I compared it to the death mask and was floored by how well this one matched the death mask. The group in England had this, and I'm like, well, at least I know where this one is. So this one's, in my mind, 2017, this one's safe. But I quickly realized I didn't think this one really was. I thought it could get thrown away. And then I've sort of have had it proved to me that it really could and might have been thrown in the trash. So I think if I hadn't have bought it, but I never imagined that I would. So I just was driving home from work and felt this feeling from my head to the toe that I just needed to find the owner. I'd read The Juvenile Instructor a lot, and it just really bothered me so much, but it was just sort of the thought was just read through it calmly, read through all the comments several times, and then I went into eBay, and I was like, I think this is his store. And then it said he had a Facebook page, because he listed his own Facebook page, but then he was shocked that I found his Facebook page. It's like, well, whatever. I don't know how you found me. And he was just really upset and said he was going to block me. But then I'm like, no, I'm not. He thought I was fake and had a fake Facebook. I just didn't add any friends for a few years on Facebook, so I didn't look real. But I was, and we just kind of talked and didn't even really talk. He just said, oh, here for this price, and then he tripled the amount. But it wasn't that much. I did not make very much money, so it still cost a lot. But yeah, but I don't think it was up in the thousands like it was possibly before. But just looking at this from 2017, and it's funny, like I hadn't, all of the versions that I have saved, this is flipped around because it's a daguerreotype. So I'm like, oh, well, in real life, that heavy set eyelid would have been on his left, and then his more deep set eye would have been on the right, and then that part of the mouth that came up on the side would have been on that side. And so I just got really excited one night, just really comparing them to, and then I started comparing them to the death mask, and then I was worried about where it was, and then I felt like I should find it. And I think I asked him, like, do you still have a high resolution copy of this? That's really, I couldn't just for several months, I just like, oh, I couldn't even dream of finding the high resolution copy so I could see that left nostril, and you can't see it. So I was disappointed when I bought it that I mean, obviously this is a lot more pixels because you can see the paper fibers, but it does have a little bit of a gloss on it. There's one version, I have several versions where you can see that glossy tone to it, so it's very indicative of being an 1860s excuse me, copy of a daguerreotype, because Emma Smith's picture was copied from a daguerreotype. And so I just kind of wanted to pull up and look at a few of the pictures of the sons. So this is Joseph Smith III. That looks really similar to this tie. So when I first bought it, I was looking at the clothing and trying to be like, well, is it 1840s, 1850s, 1860s? And then I found Abraham Lincoln, who lived in Illinois, just like Joseph Smith. And he matched the best to the oldest picture clothing style of Abraham Lincoln, which was probably like 1846 maybe, but they knew it was like mid 1840s because it was the oldest picture and it was beginning of his Abraham Lincoln's political career. And he was in the same room as Joseph Smith at one point, and I need to read Tim Ballard's book on his whole theory that they maybe met or something. I don't know. But he thinks that they did, and that the Book of Mormon influenced Abraham Lincoln to do what he did and to really care about that cause. Because if you read the Book of Mormon, it's very anti-racism. Like, literally, the first prophet in the book is Nephi. His little brother is condemning racism within the first 100 years of the Book of Mormon. So, because it was already happening in the Book of Mormon. So unfortunately, yeah, it's just sad to know it's been a thing in almost all cultures, and it's the world's not perfect, but you can just see how far we've gone and at least see that there's hope, and that's where I take with that. But if you read his book, he's really writes a lot of beautiful things about. I mean, he grew up with a couple of black children that Joseph Smith adopted. I mean, you could say technically he bought a slave in Missouri. That's the story from Alexander's granddaughter. But she said then she learned that they were raised as one skin, no differently. And so you've got the Joseph Smith and Emma Hill Historical Society you can find on Facebook. That's where I found this. Gracia Jones put this together, which is just the cutest thing ever. And so, Julia, if you're new to this, just kind of get your rundown. So we do know and have only verified 4 children, and they're descendant of, I think, this guy and this woman. And so age-wise, I'll just guess off the top. I don't want to say the exact years. I'll just say in order is Joseph Smith III. I know he was born in 1832. And then Frederick, because I know he was born still in Ohio. Alexander was born in Missouri. And then David Hiram was born in Illinois, just I think 3 months after his father was killed. And so Julia wrote that on the carte de visite of this picture. And the daguerreotype is really damaged, and yeah, I had one video up that wasn't supposed to be. Sorry about those who saw that. But yeah, whatever. And so I think maybe the best thing I can do so I don't get myself like going in circles. But here's Alexander. Some of these, I needed to clean this up before I did this. I apologize. Cutest picture. That's so adorable. I don't know if this is really Frederick. I think the story that I've read about this, someone just found it randomly and then sent it to a church historian, and they said, oh, that's Frederick Smith. So maybe this is picture number 2, but this guy has a really high forehead. But it could be the face shape. I haven't really gone through and tried to really scrutinize it much. But this is verified to be Frederick Smith because it was in Julia Murdoch Smith's family album, and she wrote Fred Smith on it. And that's right here. So I think this is Julia's handwriting right there. And so his eyes look a little bit lighter. Emma had dark, almost black eyes and black hair. And so you'll see some of the children. But his ears, you can kind of see they stick out a little bit. But his eyebrows have a little bit more of an arch. A little bit. Got a widow's peak there. So I was seeing that on the Spiritist picture, so I thought, oh, maybe, I don't know. But a little bit blurry picture, but a little bit older of Joseph III. You see more of these straight eyebrows, ears that kind of stick out. His nose, I think, looks a little bit more, maybe like Emma's, but she had a very small nose. A lot of people did say Alexander looked the most like Joseph Smith. Historians say that people said that in Utah that they thought he looked the most like Joseph Smith. I can see the nose is a lot more upturned, whereas with him and Joseph Smith III, the tip of their nose is lower, kind of like, let's say, example, if you look at the profile of Hiram Smith, his nose is a little bit lower But you see these very straight eyebrows. He just seems to have very light eyebrows to me. This is very pixelated, but you can kind of see ears sticking out. A much better picture of Alexander. So he definitely, it could just be the nose and the fact that his eyes are lighter. Whereas Joseph III had Emma's eyes. He definitely looked like he had brown eyes from all the pictures I looked at. It looked darker. But it says Alex Smith there. But I definitely think the tip of his nose doesn't seem to be very low. And if you look at the death mask and profile of Joseph Smith, his nose looked a lot more like his mother's. You got another picture of Alex there. The pixels are very low on this, so I just have to keep that like that. But you can still see he has more of those lighter eyes. He really seems to have a smaller nose. Then we have a bunch of Joseph Smith III. He's quite elderly there, but his nose is a little bit bigger. But again, you can see the tip of his nose. It just gets lower and lower. It's not quite like his father's, but the eyebrows are very straight and his ears do protrude. And I have the actual photo down here. And the ears definitely sticking out quite a bit. He's getting a little bit of a higher forehead. Getting into some of the more higher resolution pictures that I have. Don't have very many. But really that eyebrow, for some reason it looks thinner there, but I think the shape looks quite similar, but you can see those ears. And so my theory is that Joseph Smith, part of his hair is always mid-ear. Seems to be the length in all the artwork and in this picture. And you can see he's brushing his hair forward. Of course, I don't think his nose looked like Joseph Smith's, but a very high forehead. So at this point, he probably is like mid-30s. I think like Joseph Smith before he died. And then I think this is the youngest picture of Joseph Smith III. Probably the highest resolution picture of all the sons that I could find. I might have already pulled this up. I apologize if I did, but he's already starting to have a little bit of a higher forehead. So I wonder, all these statements that Joseph Smith had a retreating forehead, did that mean high or receding forehead? Hairline, maybe. You do see these ears stick out quite similarly. I think he has a little bit more of a rounded ear, whereas I think you could say this is more like an attached earlobe. But I wouldn't say that about this picture. And then I just really see the shape of Emma's eyes, having looked at with so many verified pictures of her. But the face shape, pretty similar. Much longer of a face shape there. Alexander didn't quite have as long of a face shape. And then David Hiram looked like he had a little bit lighter eyes. Pretty straight eyebrows. But you do see these ears, these really prominent ears, which I found to be interesting. And this is from Julia's photo album. And he's just got this jacket on. He looks like he's drowning in it. And I've said that so many times, but I just really wonder if they all kind of... I see a similar jacket in a lot of the photos, early photos of the son. So I wonder if they're like, okay, maybe... Just my theory. Maybe I'll wear Dad's jacket for the photo today. And they didn't have a lot of money. They really didn't. So... But it sort of has that similar... lapel there, a little bit darker upper, lighter, although it was a style, you just don't. But that kind of looks like Joseph Smith's cape, to be honest, that I have seen. It sort of looks like it. So he did have like an actual cape and a jacket, you know. did get cold, all the places he lived. I mean, that's a little bit older, David Hiram. And then you've got the mother. So her nose, from having seen the profile of the death mask and the drawings, the tip of his nose kind of goes up a little bit more. I think more like his mom's, but she had pretty deep set eyes. I see a lot of her eyes and the features look more like maybe like Hiram's face. I don't know how authentic this is, so if you do know, like, let me know. This is probably owned by the Community of Christ. I don't know, but his father definitely died, I think, before photography came to Nauvoo, and before they would have had any money to pay for anything like that, I think, because they all were dirt poor. I think the year that his father died, I don't even think it was called Nauvoo yet. Maybe it was. But anyway, I think he died in 1840. A lot of people died that first year. A lot of people died in Missouri. A lot of people, and mostly, oddly, men. A lot of people died when they got to Illinois. And they were just all got sick from like malaria or whatever. Stuff like that. So, but I could really see when I first looked at this, I thought it was authentic. I don't know. And the lips looked really similar, especially to the death mask. And I think to this guy in that eye, it was just pretty deep right there. And I see that those eyes look similar to, I think, Alex's eyes. Sisters, you got Catherine. This is sort of what hit me when I found the pictures of the sisters and people were criticizing the ears. I'm like, well, it could be a family trait, having a look at the painting that might be authentic of his father. Definitely that ear. Yeah, seems to, I think the shape looks really similar of the lobe. I just see a lot of similarities. I haven't found any younger pictures of Catherine. So that's Catherine, and then you got pictures of Lucy. He had another sister, Sophronia. I haven't found any pictures of her at all. And then there's Lucy. So they all were quite a bit older. I think she was actually in her 60s when this picture was done. Her ears kind of stick out a little bit, not as much as Catherine's in this possible picture of Joseph Smith. She looks pretty similar to Hiram. Sorry, I'm yawning. I need to end this video soon. But, yeah, I went through all of those. So if you are a descendant, I would love to know, to see some younger pictures of William. And so 3 of Joseph Smith's brothers died in adulthood before he died. And then 3 more Smith boys died in 1844. So him, his brother were murdered, and then Sam died a month later. He just got really sick. And then all you had was William. And you just have a lot of pictures of him quite a bit older. And his ears don't seem to stick out, and he didn't seem to lose much of his hair. His eyes look very similar to more like his mom's. There we go. I think this is a painting of, I think this was from the drawing that was from life. She had a forward-facing drawing of herself in the 1850s by Frederick Piercy. I was trying to remember his name earlier. So Frederick Piercy, this almost perfectly matches his drawing, but because this painting really matches Joseph Smith III, Joseph Smith Sr., can't talk. But maybe not. Maybe that is authentic. I just don't. If you know, let me know. I've bugged some of the descendants probably a little too much, but they've been nice enough for people that are very busy. They do a lot of projects, and they're very busy and get tired of people that have photos that allege to be of Joseph Smith. It's just sort of like one was supportive, and then the next day it's just like, well, a lot of people thought he did. It's just a lot of that discouragement, just kind of like, it doesn't matter. And then another day I'm like, maybe it does, And so we'll just see, what can level of what can be maybe verified or whatever. But that is Lucy, a little bit deeper set, and I think their eyes look pretty similar. I think that's why I pulled that up. So, but not very many that are young of William. That's a little bit better picture of William. There you go. But sort of the same features. Like his nose looks a lot like Hiram's. I think Hiram's tip of his nose was a little bit lower, like that. A little bit more deep set eyes, like I think the mother. Assuming that other painting of the father is real. I think I pulled this up, but again, Joseph Smith III. I think his eyes looked a lot like Emma's, especially looking at drawings and paintings of his father. But yeah, I don't think he was a bad guy. I think he was a good guy and just did the best he could with what he had. And, you know, I think his church has done some good. They're just a little bit... But yeah, that's Joseph F. Smith. A little bit older there. I didn't throw that in there. Oh, there's David Hiram. His eyebrows just look so much thicker there. But once you know the pictures of the kids, you really know, like, he has that higher forehead. I think, like his father, and these thicker... His eyebrows look very thick there. And I've seen some pictures where his eyes... They would say that about Joseph Smith, you know, these eyes are just really... You could find David Hiram in some pictures. I think his eyes were lighter like his father's, and in a crowd of people, it's pointed saying that's David Hiram, but he just stuck out. You could just see, oh, there's David Hiram. But yeah, Gracia Jones was saying that David Hiram looked a lot more like the Hell family. A lot more of those features, kind of like that nose. So I think that does come from that side of the family. So I agree with that, for sure. And then most of these were just family, but I was analyzing Joseph F. Smith a lot as I was analyzing this. So... But yeah, I'll just end with this. Just try to end on more of like a happy note. There's Julia. And these are the 4 sons. So yeah, if you know any more, you can see it's interesting. She got his hair kind of brushed forward like the father, I think. I think that could be the dad. I think that is the mother. But and this is just the cutest picture ever, and I'll just kind of leave on that. I just think this picture makes me smile, and so does that one. It's just so adorable. And then, yeah, Emma died in 1879. She died soon after. She didn't have any kids. She was adopted, but biological children are those. And, yeah, if you know anything, let me know. I know I'm not going to find anything else out about that Smith family photo album. I just know that there was one picture that was from this same album that he did try to sell to me, and I didn't buy it because I just didn't have any money. I had enough to buy this. That was it. And a year later, I bought one other picture I don't think actually even was from the Smith family album. I didn't realize that till a long time later. It's like a year ago. So that was like a year after I bought it. I reread his emails as he was trying to explain all these. He just had so many old photos, you guys. And then he had one that did say Mrs. Smith. Just one, though. Like, you would think more would come out if he was trying to pull a Mark Hoffman on us, you know. But I can prove I didn't know him before, and I did not own this. And it was online, and there was a lot going on way before I knew anything about this picture. I just jumped on the train and was like, what? Well, after the fact, I'm like, you're going to make this guy throw it away? Oh my gosh. But there was one of a woman that I was like, well, there's no way that's Emma Smith. So Mrs. Smith, I thought he was trying to say it was Emma, but having studied Joseph Smith III's life, he did marry 3 times because he was a widower twice. And now, having looked at those pictures of those women, I'm like, I wish I could see that picture again. And if that could somehow be, but at this point, it'd be hard to do anyway. It's just hard. Unless I get those 2 other people that bought pictures from that Smith family album. But that's how he knew it was Smith, just because it was written in pencil. It said Mrs. Smith. But if he was trying to prove something, it wouldn't have just said Mrs. Smith. Like, which Smith? Mrs. that Smith, Mrs. that Smith, Mrs. that Smith, Mrs. that Smith, Don't think it was David, but having seen those, maybe. Definitely not his wife, from having seen the picture. But yeah, she didn't have brown eyes and blue eyes. I'm like, who is this person? It's just so obscure. Just other unknowns that were just Smith. And so there weren't a lot left in 2017 when I bought this. And yeah, but just, I don't think the guy's a liar. I think if he was capable of creating this and making it look like the death mask, and it looks so great, like he would have been selling pictures of Abraham Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? Or other famous people that he really could have made money from, because there are verified pictures of those people. That's usually what they do. According to, I won't name a person, but I've talked to some professionals. They're explaining people that do create the fake ones, how they do it, and all of that. But again, I can prove I didn't have this before, and having seen his store, it sounded like it was a lot of the same pictures that he had in 2009 in 2017. If that was his business, creating fake photos, like he would have been like, had some pictures that looked like some famous people that we know are that person. So it just seems, I still think he was very authentic, and yeah, it's just crazy. It's just, now it's nostalgia. I can't believe it's been this many years. Like, I bought the photo in late 2017 and then started working on something with some people little over a year later. And then now it's been like 2 years. And so I don't know if anything will happen. It'd be great. So yeah, just be patient and keep me in your prayers that I'll just be able to be happy and okay with whatever happens, even though I've had some back and forth with some people, but I can't say a whole lot more than that. And so it's just been kind of hard to know what can be done, but I'm working on it, and I'm not the only one trying to figure things out. So anyway, if you know anything about these other people, or any younger pictures of the sisters, if you're a direct descendant, any younger pictures of like the brother, that would be great. Let me know. And I just know I'm not going to hear from people about those photos from the photo album. They might be some of those people that sort of lurk on my Instagram page. I know there's like tremendously more people that look at my Instagram live but don't ever communicate with me or ever like anything, but they look at everything, So then I realize there's a lot more people that are interested in just watching, but hey, if you're just one of those people just quietly trying to like, what's going on? I'm curious. It's still weird. I haven't had that many people interested in me in general. I mean, there are people that have been interested in me, but not trying to get to know me my whole life. And that's exhausting. And I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot more of that sometime soon. So it's just, I hate it sometimes, but I don't think it's going to be anything new. I think I can handle it. Anyway, have a good day.